Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, California Weather Watch. Today's December 15th, and right now we're looking at the infrared satellite image. You can clearly see our storm under development out here over the Pacific Ocean. Got lightning flashes going on in there. This thing has a nice subtropical tap of moisture, so it's going to be a fairly warm storm. So snow is probably going to be occurring maybe 10,000 feet up across the Sierra Nevada, but it's going to bring multiple rounds of precipitation with it as well. However, in the meantime, we're going to keep some offshore winds going, low relative humidity, so we are going to have some fire danger across the state as well. So do not let your guard down as far as fires are concerned. Taking a look here at the weather outlook, offshore winds to rainfall again. Los Angeles National Weather Service mentioning this as we go on in through the day today. Probably the strongest today, but continuing with that offshore component as we go into at least Saturday coming up here. And you've got some of that fire elevated concerns out there as well. So our initial storm's going to come rolling in here, and we're not talking about too much for California at the first one, but then we've got another one rolling through here as we go through next week as well. And that one, I have a hunch that it's going to overperform for some areas here. Some pretty intense precipitation showing up in some of the models. It's got a nice subtropical tap. We'll take a look at that here as we go, but there's still low confidence in exact timing and amounts, of course, as the National Weather Service Los Angeles mentions. This is Hanford National Weather Service, California. You can see with the initial system here, this goes through Monday night. And you can see some of these precipitation totals better up towards the Bay Area here, lesser amounts as you go south towards Bakersfield, but some snow is possible across the higher terrain here. Again, mainly above 9,000 feet Sunday night in through Monday night. Now, taking a look at the state of California here, we're about 2,500 feet up in the atmosphere, 925 millibars, just showing you that we are dealing with these gusty winds still, the offshore component kind of south-southeast across a lot of central California, but you can see that continuing and the storm starting to approach the coastline here as we go through the day Saturday. But as we go through even early Sunday morning, still have some of that offshore component going on, even across the Sierra Nevada. And we've got the gusty northerly winds here across some western Arizona and across the desert areas as well, as this storm is pinwheeling here off the coastline, taking its sweet time, bringing its precipitation. As we finally start to go through the Sunday, some of that precipitation will be moving in here. We'll look at that in a moment. But look at the relative humidities, and I just want you to keep it in the back of your mind here. Let's not sleep on some of the fire danger here over the next few days. You can see the low relative humidities across the Sierra Nevada and some of Southern California and the desert areas as well, even up towards the Bay Area, all the way up to the coastal areas with some of that offshore component. So heads up for that over the next few days. Let's kind of keep that in the back of our mind before these precipitation amounts start to roll in here as we go through next week. And if you want a nice affordable home weather station, I mean, it'll tell you the relative humidity at your house. It's got an ultrasonic anemometer. The thermometer is great as well. And it stores all the data for you in the cloud so you can watch your weather station wherever you go. Highly recommend this. You can still get it in time for Christmas if you order now. Taking a look at the GFS. This is hot off the presses, the 12Z run. There is our storm system. We're looking at 18,000 feet in the atmosphere, so you can kind of see that cold air spinning, pinwheeling off the coastline here. Then it starts to fill and moves back towards Pacific Northwest, but it's going to be bringing around a precipitation with it, probably multiple rounds. And then this next storm system drops down kind of perfectly off the coastline here. Again, another subtropical tap of moisture, and this one has better chances for Southern California as we go on in through next week. So we're watching that one very closely. You can kind of see it hangs out a bit here all the way on into Friday of next week, and that's where the GFS hot off the presses ends hour 180 for now. Now, taking a look at the European as of yesterday, last night. Let's go ahead and take a look at good model agreement in the short term with the storm pinwheeling, finally moving across Pacific Northwest. Then we get that replacement trough here. Better dynamics probably down towards Southern California and even Baja as we go on in through next week. So that's what we'll be watching here. Now, taking a look at the spaghetti chart. So this is at 18,000 feet. So each one of these is an ensemble member. There's 50 of them with the European here. So you can see, of course, in the short term, we've got good model agreement. We know what the atmosphere is doing currently. But as we start to scroll off into the future, you can kind of see that storm system. Pretty good agreement, though, as it fills and moves north. And we got the next one replacing it. And you kind of see how things start to get messy with the ensemble members here. So, again, it shows the nice troughing all the way down across Southern California. Good model agreement there. The strength of this system here is still somewhat in question. As you can see, some of that goes into Northern California. But for the most part, this does shape up for a nice storm across some of Southern California as well. And then we go off into the extended, and you can see why they call it a spaghetti chart when things start to get really messy. I mean, mean, look at these lines start to get all over the place, but you can still see the signal. That Gulf of Alaska low, powerful jet stream pointed somewhere here at the west coast of North America as we go on through the extended. A lot of cold air coming out over the Gulf of Alaska. Strong jet stream moving across the Pacific Ocean into the north, either the Northwest or California. Still a lot of possibilities coming up here with this pattern as we go through the end of December with some strong storm potential involved. Now, this is looking at the GFS 12Z. This is 6-hour precipitation amounts, and you can see this strong low pressure center here off the coast. There's California, dry in the meantime. There's the Hawaiian Islands to the bottom left. Put this into motion. We're now looking at about Saturday late morning here. You can see no precipitation yet. As we go on in through Sunday morning here, just starting to approach some of Northern California and eventually the Bay Area. Then as we go on into Monday, you can see some heavier amounts start to show up towards the Bay Area here, Central Coast, Sierra Nevada, and then that system moves up across Pacific Northwest. But it still keeps this precipitation going for some areas here, and it's bound to overperform for some areas, and some people aren't going to see as much, as always is usually the case here with these systems. But then this next system, a nicely placed storm, has some heavy precipitation potential with it as well. And some of the models are showing this right near the Los Angeles area. They're kind of going back and forth with big amounts across Southern California versus lesser amounts, depending on which model you're looking at. But you can see the system hangs out for a while, folks. This could cause some flooding concern if this continues to spin right off the coastline all the way on in through the day Saturday. Now, taking a look at what's going on at about 5,000 feet. So I want to show you why this storm system is warm. As you can see, let me just back up there a little bit, but now you can see the storm system out here, but you can see this plentiful amount of warm air here at about 5,000 feet, above average, and that's why the snow levels are going to be high. Then our next system drives down here, and this is probably going to bring some lower snow levels with it at this point. As you can see, this low moving into Southern California, but we'll watch that closely, and we'll continue to watch the models and see what kind of snow we can expect for that across the higher terrain. But you can see that low pressure system finally fill and move across the area there. Now, taking a look at the total precipitation in inches, and again, this is hot off the presses, the 12Z GFS run, the American model. We put it into motion here. You see we're waiting here. Now we're into Friday night. Now into Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon coming up here. Now we're into Sunday morning, and some of that precip starts to move onto the coastline here. And you can see some of these heavier bands just off the coastline. And finally, this starts to translate across some of Central and Northern California as we go on in through the day Monday. Here we're looking at Monday afternoon. You can see some of that precip starting to pile up there across some of the Sierra Nevada. Again, high snow levels there. And then as we go on in through Tuesday, you can see it kind of spinning around still. And then the next system starts to arrive. And look at some of the precipitation amounts it brings across some of Santa Barbara, Ventura County down there as well. Kind of clipping Los Angeles on this run also. But some pretty impressive precipitation totals are showing up. I mean, look at this bullseye here across some of Central and Southern California for some big amounts. And this is not a high resolution model, so it's no doubt underdoing some of these totals here. If that low sits and spins and pivots heavy precipitation across the area, there could be some flooding concerns with this. So that's what we're going to be watching. And then as we scroll through the extended forecast, you can see some additional systems that we'll worry about as we go associated with that strong jet stream across the Pacific Ocean. This is the ensemble mean as of last night, total precipitation in inches. So let's just kind of run through this a little bit quicker here. And you can see some of that precip piling up. That's that initial storm. And then the secondary one starts to bring some of the heavier amounts all the way down through Southern California here. So this would be Friday of the following week upcoming here. So not bad out there. Again, this is not a cherry pick total. This is just the average of all 30 ensemble members associated with the GFS. This is the European yesterday afternoon's run. Here we go. Total precipitation in inches. Again, this is an ensemble mean also. So as we go through on into Monday, you can see the bigger amounts kind of clipping the Bay Area pretty well there also. And then as we go on in through next week, the better amounts arrive for Southern California here. So that's what we'll be breaking down here over the next few days. Hope that gives you some kind of a picture as to what is coming. Looking at total snow, 10-to-1 ratio. This is hot off the press as the GFS. It does bring some interesting amounts here, up over a foot for some of the higher terrain. But again, the snow levels are going to be high, especially at that first system there. And we'll watch that second system also to see if some of these totals uptrend here as we go through next week. Now, looking across the Pacific Ocean, we got Japan to the far left here. You got the Hawaiian Islands. There's Alaska. There's California and Washington here. There's our current system. And this is 39 9,000 feet up in the atmosphere here. So we're looking way up there. Now you can see that system fill and move north. Secondary system drops down and sets up nicely off the coast of California. Pretty good agreement with the GFS and the European on that storm. And then we get this powerful jet extension just ripping across the Pacific Ocean here. Stops at about hour 2:28. But yeah, we're kind of still playing cat and mouse here for what the extended forecast is showing. But this is a good sign if you like stormy weather somewhere here across the west coast of North America. So we'll just continue to break this down as we go day by day. Here's the 6 to 10 day. This goes all the way to Christmas Eve here, and you can see much of the lower 48 above average. And this is 6 to 10 day precipitation. So this is that upper level low sitting off the coastline here with the big bullseye for above average precipitation here, likely across Southern California, Southern Nevada, Arizona, and portions of New Mexico as well. And this is the 8 to 14 day that goes out to December 28th. Still got that above average signal out here, and we'll see how this trends. Here's that experimental product. Check it out. They actually brought a moderate here for the Bay Area down through Southern California, Christmas through the end of December here. But, you know, take this with a grain of salt. We're just kind of looking at tea leaves this far out. This is a risk of heavy snow, same time frame as we go towards the end of December. They introduced a moderate to some of the Sierra Nevada there. And check this out. This is kind of a rare moderate for risk of high winds here across some of Northern California, Southwest Oregon, but we'll see how that trends. And this is looking at the entire state snow water equivalent, so we'll see how this changes here over the next few weeks, especially if the storm track gets active. We can start to build up some of that snowpack, but no promises just yet. This is looking at the reservoir storage. So this brown line here is a reservoir storage, and this is the median reservoir. So we're doing pretty well as far as reservoirs are concerned, but as you see, we need to start building that up. The reservoirs versus actually plus the snowpack here, we need to start building that up here as we go. Obviously, we're going to start falling behind because we are fairly dry vegetation-wise across the state of California. You can see that reflected there across Northern California. A lot of the Sierra Nevada here were pre-drought and some moderate drought stress going on out there. We have not introduced drought officially yet, but we need some precipitation, and hopefully these couple of storms can deliver, especially for the Sierra Nevada. The foothills there look pretty darn right dry, and Southern California was doing much better, and it's also dried out as well. So cross your fingers for that. However, we are not in drought conditions just yet, but that can change if these storms underperform and we don't get as much precipitation as forecast, and that future storm track targets the Pacific Northwest more than California. We could be in some problems there and start to introduce some drought issues across the state of California. But anyway, there goes our storm right here. And also with this storm as it moves in on the day Sunday and Monday and Tuesday, there's going to be thunderstorm potential with it as well. There's going to be some gusty winds also, and we'll dive into those details a little bit more as we get closer to that. But anyway, hope you guys are liking these videos. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I will talk to you guys then.